This video is going to be a film study look at the Ravens' young outside linebacker trio that had a lot of impact in Saturday's 13-12 win over the Falcons. I thought the Ravens' defense had a significant difficulty dealing with the Falcons' inside zone, outside zone, and then play action boot concepts that were built off of it. Look, they gave up 151 rushing yards, I believe, to a combination of 4 different running backs, multiple different offensive and defensive linemen in there in those matchups. The scheme gives us trouble. It does. The 11 personnel run scheme, I think, gives the Ravens defensive structure trouble. I'll have some explanation for some of those struggles as we get throughout the video. The main focus of here will be on the play of David Ojabo, Tavius Robinson, and Adisa Isaac. 3 guys that, look, they only combined for, I think, 7 or 8 tackles, 1 quarterback hit, 2 quarterback pressures, both credited to Ojabo. But I think they each flashed some of their individual potential to help the Ravens defense in 2024 or beyond. I think Isaac led the outside linebacker group in tackles with 4, all of which were on situations where he was unblocked, but he displayed the burst and ability to close down from the backside of a run concept. Robinson, a little bit more stout on direct run plays at him. He did make that critical game-saving tackle on the Falcons' 2-point conversion run when he closed down to tackle Jace McClellan to preserve the 1-point win. And then Ojabo, 24-year-old outside linebacker, only played 5 career games since being drafted in the second round in 2022. I thought he clearly showed his pass rush potential that separates him from the other 2. Owe and Kyle Van Noy are projected to get the vast majority of the snaps, I guess be starters. But Ojabo stood out to me in terms of the guy who's more game ready overall, whether that's against the run, because I think he's better there than people give him credit. And he's at least 2 levels above Robinson and Isaac when it comes to being matched up against offensive tackles in a pass rush situation. Additionally, have to mention that there'll be some discussion here of the versatility that Trenton Simpson displayed in the limited snaps that I saw him on the field, whether it was in coverage, as a blitzer, against the run. Very fun to watch. I thought he was more decisive this week, and I thought he was pretty good in week 1 against the Eagles. So I'll be forced to comment on some of that because he was just so impressive, if you ask me. Finally, want to give a shout out to a living legend who created the soundtrack for the intro that I'm able to use, a different intro this week. So I want to continue to give credit to him. Look, these outside linebackers are 22, 24, and 25 years old, respectively, with Robinson, ironically, being the oldest one. Let's get to the first play here, which is the first drive. Ojabo is left-hand side of our screen. This is the type of play where if you're an offensive coordinator on the offensive staff and you call something like this, the way he sets this tight end inside, you don't come back to stuff like this, at least this individual matchup. So notice where the feet are. I wish I could mark it on the field, but the inside foot of the tight end is about a yard outside of the left hash. And on this attempted outside zone, he gets basically stood up. On Twitter, I called it a stop sign, meaning you are stopped right here. People say the edge is set. Additional to that, Travis Jones winning on the inside, won throughout the entirety of the rep. I thought it was a very impressive rep for David Ojabo, who is known as a pass rush guy or has more pass rush talent. That was a significant win early in the game. You didn't really see him attacked directly in the run game very much thereafter. This is a 3rd and 11 from the same possession. Ojabo and Malik Harrison will be dropping out. It's a great pass defense by JAD, if you ask me. You also have Trenton Simpson here is going to defeat, I believe, the right guard's block and get in on a QB pressure, QB hit. At this point, Taylor Henke is still in the game, and you can see that Simpson has closed down here, defeated the block. Ojabo, Malik Harrison dropping out in coverage. And here's JAD going to challenge the pass to Chris Blair, who I think through 2 games looks like a really classy, balanced wide receiver for them. Second possession, it's a 3rd and 2. Ojabo on our left, Tavius Robinson on our right. Great job by Brent Urban, who really doesn't belong on the field in these situations. Again, it's a 3rd and 2, second possession. Tavius Robinson, I don't think gets as much of a stop sign put up here on this tight end. Gets a little bit more expanded as far as his heels, ends up in the middle of the numbers. It is threatening that part of the field, so you have to at some point expand, especially if you're not sure of the help that you have. But we do have help here in the form of Eddie Jackson. Later on in the game, a couple of times, these strong safeties nickel defenders are kind of looping outside to let the outside linebacker set a harder edge and influence or encourage the running back to bounce it outside. Urban is winning handily against the right guard, 68. Ojabo trying to close down from the backside. Isn't able to get there because the running back takes it front side. I think it only ends up being a 1 yard gain. Unfortunately, the very next play, they do convert. This is the same play from the end zone angle. You can see the conflict that's created by this offense in terms of the boot by the quarterback and the run action into the boundary with more space down here for you to potentially cover when the quarterback runs the boot. Our outside linebackers were often half manning it, meaning they were waiting to see if the ball was handed off or if the quarterback kept it. Actually, sometimes we were committing too much so, and the quarterbacks were able to boot and get outside. Not on this particular case. Like I said, that's Urban and Tavius Robinson combining for a tackle, no gain. Very next play, 4th and 2. I think we've got the wrong gaps here from the standpoint of where the nickel defender is. Yeah, it's trips to the field. As an aside, Eddie Jackson, to me, looks like a better tackler than Bears fans led us to believe. At least on my Twitter, when I did stuff about Eddie Jackson signing with the Ravens, there was a significant amount of criticism, which I guess fan bases tend to do when a player leaves. But I think we're wrong here with the gaps. We've got 7 players in the picture here in the box. I understand that the running back and the quarterback are on the side of the trips, so we've got to worry about potentially a sprint out situation, which the Ravens ran in this game, and I'll cover in another video, where the quarterback and the halfback would basically sprint out to one side. So we've got to be able to handle that from a force player and leverage standpoint. But I think we're in the wrong gap schematically. I'm not saying that Trenton Simpson does anything wrong. In fact, he gets cut, and to me it almost looks like a situation where you could say 64, the center, is trying to roll once he hits the ground, trying to roll, and almost, he doesn't leg whip Trenton Simpson, but it looks like the kind of play where you've seen that called. He ends up rolling on his back. That's what they're taught to do. It's a 4th and 2 after that Brent Urban and Tavius Robinson tackle. I think we'd be better served to have those guys kicked over half a step. When I say those guys, I mean Trenton Simpson's feet to be here and Malik Harrison's feet to be here, such that he could play strong side A-gap, and then Ardarius Washington to basically be stacked on top of Ojabo, such that he could play the C-gap, which is really, I think, what he's responsible for anyway. Basically, I think Malik Harrison and Ardarius Washington here pretty much end up responsible for the same gap. The gap problem, is really here, but I think it's a trickle-down effect from left to right on our screen or right to left for the defense. Again, it's an 11 personnel run concept. Same possession, 2nd and 8. This is going to be a fantastic job of tempoing the running back by Simpson, a brutal play by Broderick Washington, who doesn't get credit for the tackle, and then a great example, I think, of the length and ability to close down Isaac. Again, I'm going to be a little bit critical here compared to some other people. All of his plays that he made was when he was unblocked. You'll certainly be unblocked against this type of offense. So in this matchup against the Falcons, you would want the ball to be run away from him because he's got the length and the burst to be able to close down. But getting back to Simpson, who isn't really the focus of this video, he's peeking here. He's trying to get view outside shoulder of 64. And then on the backside, you've been comboed if you're Broderick Washington. But the core strength, the hip strength to be able to stay with the play, finish this off, and then basically club the running back high while Trenton Simpson is in low, and then Isaac comes in and finishes it off. I think it's a beautiful example of how at times we did play this quite well. Still second possession. This is now a 3rd and 9 after that play right there. This is 11 personnel trips. And I think this gives you an idea of what Trenton Simpson is capable of. If you look at the plays that we've shown so far, and the penultimate play, I think, for him is coming up in a minute. It's a 3rd and 7 on the 3rd possession. But you've got him blitzing earlier, hitting the quarterback on the pass defense by JAD. You've got a really nice tackle on the previous play that I showed you, which came one play after he was cut by the center. And now on a 3rd and 9, when Henke is able to break contain Got a really nice tackle. I know that as far as athleticism rating, Trenton Simpson is way above Taylor Henke, or however you say his name, Heineke. You've got Ojabo trying to win to the top side here. I think the left tackle's doing a nice job in this case. And then Isaac, a little bit, I think that's Isaac, a little bit closer to the quarterback against the right tackle. Ends up on the ground. Simpson, beautiful one-on-one tackle on a 3rd and 9. I thought it was a great play. It was one of the final plays that he was on the field. One more example of the same play from the end zone angle. Yeah, it is Isaac who's trying to lead with a bull rush. I felt like that was what he generally started with early in games at Penn State. And he does a pretty good job, if you ask me, of inside arm framing the right tackle, even though he didn't get credit for a pressure on that one. Skipping forward, 3rd possession. This is a brilliant example of the versatility that Trenton Simpson can give us, whether that means that we can be in pseudo-dime looks on 3rd down. I don't know what you would call it. You also have, I think, a nice pass rush example of Ojabo cutting the corner with the inside arm rip. It's not often that you see an inside linebacker matched up against a tight end in a passing situation in man. I'm not sure if I gave you the end zone angle of this one. I do. Simpson is threatening the potential blitz with his eyes in here. That's why he's inside leverage, but he's also playing man, so he's forcing the tight end to get an outside release, even if it is a route that comes back across right to left for the offense, left to right for us on the screen. You get a nice example or a nice view here of Ojabo swatting down on the outside arm and then ripping under with the same arm twice, in fact, to kind of clean the corner up after the first rip underneath. Didn't necessarily win. I'm not sure if I'll be able to. I wish I'd edited this a little bit to make it slower. It's going to come up here. You'll see 2 quick rips in succession, 1, 2, and the second one kind of cleans up whatever the first one didn't finish. Pretty much it for Ojabo and Simpson for the rest of the game. You're getting a lot of Tavius Robinson and Adisa Isaac from here, and then some explanations of the trouble that we had. This one's a little concerning. You may not be as concerned as I am about the run game. I know Stacy and a couple of other people in our Ravens Discord are concerned with the run game. This is 11 personnel into the boundary. There's the ball on the right hash. Boundaries down here. Field is up to the top. So you got a 2-by-2 set, running back, tight end into the boundary. So cool, we've walked the boundary side safety down in the case of Daryl Worley. We're getting Tavius Robinson essentially kind of base blocked here. A blitz by Daryl Worley ends up pretty much in the same gap. So I think that coverage-wise, Simpson is responsible for the tight end again. So there's some positives here to talk about in terms of the versatility that Simpson offers. We can blitz the safety, and he has the ability, the speed, and agility to cover the tight end. But we're not doing this properly, in my opinion. I think we've ended up with 2 guys in the same gap in the form of Tavius Robinson and Daryl Worley on the blitz. And as a result, Simpson, who's responsible for the tight end, has to step out with him. Who's got B-gap on this one? Maybe it's 93. I feel like we could blitz B-gap here instead of blitzing C-gap, or stunt the D end, in this case Tavius Robinson inside. We've got problems stopping the 11 personnel run game right now in the preseason with the players that we have on the field. We had trouble with it last year at times too. The Colts in week 3. At times, the Bengals in the second game we played against them last year. The Rams, certainly their 11 personnel run game gave us trouble as well. I'm not sure if other people have broken on that play or focused on it. It bothers me from the standpoint of we have the tight end here. I feel like we could fix this quite easily if we kick this D tackle over into a 3 and kick this D tackle over into a 2I or a 1. But I understand we want the 1 to the boundary and a 3 to the field at times for the run game opposite the running back, basically running left to right on our screen or right to left for the offense. Forgive me if I said that in a way that didn't make sense. Still same possession. This is Ojabo's ridiculous spin move I think that everyone's talked about. It's so interesting to me that this move shows up 2024 when presumably he's really healthy. If you don't know, Aiden Hutchinson is really reliant upon spin moves. I don't know that Ojabo was at Michigan, I don't recall that necessarily. I felt like he was a guy that won more to the top side, speed, various speed rushes that win to the top side, to the outside, whatever you want to call it. But this spin move looks really instinctive, really quick. You've got to chop with the right arm down to break the posture of the tackle. So you can see the tackle's shoulders are kind of tilted in this direction. So he used the right arm, the inside arm, to break the posture. And then the spin, yeah, he's higher than the tackle, but look at the posture. If you watch Falele play offensive line in the last 2 weeks, look at the tilt in the right tackle's upper body. If you watch Falele play offensive line in the last 2 weeks, you're seeing his posture get broken off, and that's what I mean by posture. Hips up, your upper body not being in good relationship, being able to handle another human being putting hands on you. This time, Ojabo's technique is what broke the posture, and his speed and athleticism allows him to finish the move. Still fourth possession. This is a 3rd and 10. We're stunting. This one bothers me a little bit from a standpoint of the call. Ojabo just kicked the right tackle's ass, and he's still on the field. I don't think he's doing a great job with the stunt here. Fine. The tight end is also on the other side. So for me, I understand that you call stunts sometimes. I feel like someone, and maybe it's not either of these two guys. I know we've got an undrafted free agent in there in 57, and then Simpson, a second-year player. If we just kicked his ass, I'm just not sure why we're calling that stunt. I know we've got to show different hands. In the NFL, you want to see guys execute different things. Cool. We're talking about a young guy who's in his 3rd year. I want to let him go here. You may disagree with me. It's no problem. I'm not saying that I don't trust Zach Orr and those guys. This one just bothers me a little bit just because it was the very next play after that badass spin move. Isaac is weirdly unblocked on this one. We've moved forward, I believe, about 3 possessions, 7th possession. Let me know if you guys like the end zone angle. Most people give feedback that they do. When I talked about the tight end earlier being where you set the 3 technique, try to notice it from here on out. You've got the tight end. Here, I'm talking about the play that I didn't like, the Daryl Worley blitz into C-gap where Tavius Robinson ended up as well. The 3 technique D-tackle is here. The nose, shade, 1 technique, whatever you want to call them, is to the opposite side away from the tight end. Try to notice it from here on out if you want, and let me know in the comment section or when it premieres, if we see examples of it being the opposite. But in any case, here's Isaac unblocked, again, closing down. 87 to me, I think, is either supposed to go get him and close him out, or they should Jill ISO it, meaning 87 step out, and then 86 step inside like the Rams do, go get the front side inside linebacker. As it stands, 87 goes to get the front side inside linebacker, who I think is a talented player, man. I'm not sure how we can keep him around. I really like him. Diaby, I think. And Isaac gets credit for a tackle, a 2-yard gain. 7th possession still. We've got this famous BGAT blitz from Pepe that's almost intercepted by Isaac. This is the 2nd week in a row where they've called one of these on a 3rd down. And I think that Isaac's rush here is just to occupy whoever the outside guy is. I think it would normally be to occupy the tackle. In this case, there happens to be a tight end there. So for me, I'd like to see him evade that tight end and force the tackle to deal with him. You may think that I'm being overly critical of a guy that I criticized when we drafted him in the first place, but theoretically, him being handled by the tight end would allow the Falcons to handle this stunt with the center taking over the stunting D-tackle, the guard taking over 57, whose name I probably mispronounced a moment ago. 74, for whatever reason, is letting Pepe run by him. My point is, I think that you're supposed to be engaging the tackle there and not the tight end. Now, if the tight end's committed to you, I understand why you want to be on the outside lane. I get it, but I think that's a small technical example of one of our stunts. This stunt could be picked up cleaner and easier by a higher level offensive line if we're dealing with the tight end as an outside linebacker, when I think we're supposed to be occupying the tackle. Next possession, another zone read. You can see the back and the tight end into the boundary. Compare this to that 4th down that the Falcons converted earlier, where I complained about the blitz. You now have Worley here. Isaac is outside, tight end here, 3 technique to the boundary, 1 technique, shade, whatever you want to call him, to the field. arc releasing the tight end, so we're not responding to a key here at all. So it tells us obviously that our eyes are in the backfield, which is fine because Worley's responsible for the tight end, just like Simpson was on that 4th down. 56 is stepping with the back. Isaac is responsible for half of the running back, half of the quarterback. That's the half man technique. In this case, we got the boundary to us. There's no boot necessarily, and I think he plays it well. He closes it down. This might be a tackle for loss or maybe a 0-yard gain. Really violent finish to the play. I thought the boundary side D tackle did a pretty good job here initially as well. 94, 95, 94. Gets his left arm, kind of forklifts this guy a little bit, upends him, and then collapses him down such that there's really no gap for the running back to go to. Robinson is on the left-hand side here. This is a 2nd down pass rush. Show you a series of pass rush situations here where I think illustrate the difference between Ojabo and these guys. Maybe it's a little unfair to compare Robinson and Isaac to him, but nonetheless, those guys were drafted. Robinson in the 4th round, Isaac in the 3rd round, and in the case of Ojabo, late in the 2nd, but he probably would have been a 1st-round pick. Not as much to say about 48 over there. I think he's really far down on the totem pole as an outside linebacker. Malik Harrison is a much better option there, regardless of what we're trying to get done. Here's a 6-man rush on the very next play. Ends up being pass interference, I believe, on Pepe Williams to the right-hand side of our screen. As an aside, I really like Bo Braid or Brad 6, the guy who's from Howard County who nearly had an interception. He looks like a talented player. I don't know how we'll be able to keep him. This is the interception that's called back. Tight end, running back, same side. Here's Robinson, the DN outside linebacker. Notice the 3 technique to the side of the tight end. The 1 shade, or in this case perhaps a tilted 2-eye, is away from the tight end, except for that 4th and 2. I like 68 as well. I think it's Ravenel. He's lined up at D tackle here. Last week played a little bit more edge defender. He looks like a very active guy. I don't know anything about his history. This one was reviewed and brought back and determined to be incomplete. Another 6-man rush. This one's incomplete to the receiver, Matthews. Isaac is totally unblocked, and I think 48 gets a quarterback hit against the 3rd-string left tackle. Really frames him up to the inside, and the quarterback fades pretty much right into 48's path. Down here on the goal line, this is the touchdown with inside of a minute left in the game. I understand the half-man technique. And again, you've got the running back, tight end, same side. So this is what I would call a same side run, meaning the running back is on this side, the right-hand side of the screen, and the play is designed to go to that side. It's not designed for him to cross the quarterback's face and go to the other side of the defense. We're in this kind of pseudo bear look with a 2 3s and a 0. 48 is half manning it. I think he should be running down the line violently to go take the running back, and a scrape or gap exchange should occur with 56. Meaning 48 run down the line violently, and 56 wait and be ready to scrape over the top. It is precisely what the Falcons did to us to disrupt our run game on the other side. And as further proof that that's a viable option, this is exactly what occurs right here. On the 2-point conversion after the score is 13-12, we violently instruct Tavius Robinson to go down the line of scrimmage. It's a great play by him. He deserves credit for it. But I'm not sure why this wasn't an option earlier in the game, particularly when they were in the shotgun. I'm not necessarily saying, who we have for quarterback. Right now, we've got Worley and Brad over there, so theoretically, one of them will be responsible for the tight end. One of them will be responsible for the quarterback. To me, it looks like both of them are responding to the tight end. I think there's some small issues that need to be dealt with. I am obviously 1,000 times less experienced than the Ravens coaches, but these are things that I think I notice, and you're welcome to tell me if you notice them, if you agree with them, if other people have mentioned them as well, and if you think they're legitimate. I'm not saying that we didn't play good defense at times, particularly these 3 guys. These 4 guys, Simpson, Ojabo, Robinson, and Isaac, they have a bright future, and in some cases, they're ready to go right now. You guys have to let me know what you think of the way that I broke down the plays that I chose to illustrate. I tried to record this one time through, so forgive me if it was a little bit sloppy. We've been on vacation and traveling for 2 or 3 days, so it's made it very difficult to try to get my workflow done in a normal fashion. I appreciate you guys' time, man. If you think other Ravens fans would enjoy this film study look at the young outside linebackers and Trenton Simpson from Saturday's win over the Falcons, then please consider grabbing a link to this video and sharing it out on social media to help other Ravens fans enjoy it as well.